In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
There you are. Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with a Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How are you today? How are you today? Well, I hope. We had a lovely evening last night ourselves, Casa Munson, Team Munson. The in-laws are going home today after being here in Portugal for a month. It's been lovely to have them here in San Martinho de Porto. Had a lovely meal in the town last night. And this is what's going on in our town at the moment. Look at this. Anthony, I'm calling him Anthony Bryant. That makes him sound like an old cricketer or a distinguished writer. Anthony Bryant will be joining us soon, a.k.a. the Portugeeza. And also, here comes the lad stepper. He's been doing a lot of steps. Murder up. He's been doing steps, 20,000 a day. We'll find out why in just a moment. But before we go there, let me just tell you about what's going on in San Martinho de Porto in association with Sant'Antonio and all the Santos Populares around the country at the moment. It's going to be an amazing webinar tonight with Philomena. Look, she was in Lisbon seeing this. We've got a great video. I'll share that. Oh, look, Lidl are in on the act with the Santos Populares. There I can see from her amazing headdress. And we'll talk more about this because she's going to be doing a webinar tonight over at Expats Portugal, and she'll be with us tomorrow, and we'll be singing again tomorrow. We've got a sing-song with Philomena on Philomena Friday tomorrow. But yeah, just briefly, there's San Martino de Porto. You can see the sea through the fairground rides, and then if we step towards the beach, this is the view that we saw last night. What a lovely backdrop for the Sant'Antonio festivities. Fireworks last night. I watched them on the beach cam. Or some of them, some shards of explosives on the beach cam. We didn't stay up until midnight last night. We could hear it from the bedroom. No, that was the fireworks, not my bedroom last night. And there's the earlier shot, the portrait shot of the beach, so that you could see the sliver of moon in the sky as well. It was fantastic. And as we walked the street, the young scouts came up to us, offering us manjerico, basil, of course, which is traditional at this time of year, as a nice little keepsake or representation of this particular festivity, and something you can buy and give to a loved one. I think this is quite popular among young courting couples. Now, Sant'Antonio Padreiro. Is that okay? I won't start the controversy of whether he's Portuguese or Italian. De quem em ti acredita, das tudo menos dinheiro, andas teso e sanguita. Now that had the most awkward of translations when I looked it up. What do you think? If you have a quick look at that, a quick gander at that, those of you who can speak Portuguese, and let me know what you think that says, because Google Translate was not helpful. Or maybe it was. Maybe that is what it says. And that was a strange thing for a young scout to give to us. Anyway, let's give him a nice big round of applause so he can join the conversation now, and that we can both greet you together, those of you who are with us this morning. Let's give him a nice big round of applause. Mr. Anthony Bryant, Esquire.
Bom dia. I'm here.
Anthony Bryant. I mean, that's the sort of name you might be called, your full name when you're in court, or if a parent is shouting at you. That sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a funny story, because it is Anthony, and this is something when I was young, if one of my friends knocked on the door and asked for Tony or Anthony, my mum would say, "There's no one here by that name." So it was
really.
Yeah. She was very, very hot on it, because it's spelt with a H, you know.
Yes.
But she's the only person that ever called me Anthony. And I remember it was very funny because when I was in Hong Kong, I suppose it was at least 5 or 6 years ago. But one of the most of the children in Hong Kong, the Chinese children, take on an English name. It's very common to do it.
Yeah.
And one of the new kids was called Anthony, and I hadn't met him yet. But I remember being in the classroom, and my co-teacher called out his name, Anthony, and I swear to God, just for 3 seconds, I was 5.
Yeah.
And I was in trouble.
So easily happen.
Do you know what I mean? It's just, I just froze. I remember just freezing. Anthony, she said it in exactly the right accent and everything. It just took me back because nobody calls me Anthony.
Wow. Well,
so,
I did.
I don't have a problem with it. It's not a problem, but it's funny. Yeah.
All right. Well, good morning to you. Lovely to see you. Always enjoy hanging out with you and having a chat. The time tends to fly. Ukuleles come in. Things we were meant to talk about, we don't talk about. Things we shouldn't talk about, we do talk about. So let's see what happens on this particular hour with you. Lee McGrady's in. Let's say hello to everybody, and because I think you've got a few friends here as well this morning. Bom dia, Gumpers. Feliz quinta todos. Tudo bem from James this morning. And let's do his mindful moment right away. I don't know if you enjoy these, Tony. The mind is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets and the more it can expand. And it's nice to rub it down with a bit of liniment from time to time as well.
Yeah, mindful. What does that mean, mindful? I quite like to be mind empty sometimes. You know?
Yeah, well, I think that in a way is part of mindfulness. The fact, well, or is it? I mean, I think that the act of mindfulness is to be aware of what's what's going on in your mind, and the word itself I think is unhelpful in many ways because it just sounds like your mind is full, which to be fair is the condition a lot of people find themselves in a lot of the time. But I think it's an intervention. It's basically an intervention on oneself and a moment or a particular and self-enforced or self-inflicted look at what's going on, a transcendent view, if you like. So we can be in the hurly-burly of our own thoughts, can't we? Or we can slowly withdraw, thereby realizing we're not our thoughts and actually study them and analyze them.
When I was young, I was quite interested in Zen. I went through that whole Zen Buddhist phase, you know, and probably for a couple of years, I would have even identified as a Buddhist. And my joke to people, because people say, "Why did you stop?" And my joke is always, actually, I like my ego, you know.
Yeah.
I like that sort of chatter that goes on inside my head and who I am a little bit. It might be a bit narcissistic, but I didn't want to destroy that, you know, which seemed to be the goal of Buddhism. But sometimes I gain a lot from that internal chatter sometimes. So for example, when I'm walking, I do like to let that go. I mean, sometimes it's pretty useless stuff, but sometimes I get some inspiration or some ideas from it, you know.
Well, your YouTube channel is a product of that process, is it not? Let's face it.
Yeah,
it's got to be, isn't it? It's got to be. And why you did 20,000 steps is actually that, because you're getting the thoughts whilst doing the steps. But I want to find out why you are doing 20,000 steps after we've said hello to everybody. Well, anyway, that's from Idawu Koyenikan, who I don't know of. And I enjoy your analysis of yourself and your early attempts and experiments in Zen Buddhism, because it might only be a Western view of Buddhism that you're trying to annihilate your ego. Something does get lost in translation, I think. It's essentially an Eastern way of being, isn't it, Buddhism? And, you know, so many things in the hands of the Western mind get destroyed. And I'm sure Buddhism is one of them.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yes. Or misinterpreted anyway.
Yeah, I'm wrong more often than I'm right. I can admit that. Yeah.
Well, I would say, if I may say so, that's a very mindful observation. Not many people are capable of that, Tony.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Those years of Zen Buddhism, do you no harm? In fact, they might have done you much.
Well, there's still many ideas that I put into practice, like trying not to get attached, that idea of non-attachment and things like that. I still practice to this day, and you know, I still notice people doing things that, not to be critical of but just sometimes I think there's a lot of things people could let go, and they could find themselves being happier, you know.
Yes.
Like not letting so much external stuff dictate their emotions and things like that.
Yeah, right.
I think are really interesting.
Yes, I find myself agreeing with you again. Mindful dad, not that that's uncommon, of course. A mindful dad joke. The banana went to the doctor because it wasn't peeling well. Oh, that's
Dear.
ouch, ouch,
Wow.
ow. Now that you teach young children, don't you? They like
Mm.
that, don't they?
Yeah, they will. Yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Okay, you're very welcome. A bit of value for you there. Thank you, James. Ow! Still hurting slightly from that one.
Yeah.
Good morning, Gumpers from Milan at Windsurance. Oh, I've got a question for you, Milan, if I may. I need the old Skoda, Tony. It went through its test again yesterday. When I was given that car 3 years ago, I was given it on the basis that it probably wouldn't make another test. And brilliantly here in Portugal, with the resourcefulness and there being no shame attached to having old vehicles, I would say, it's gone through again. It needed a new battery. I waved goodbye to it on the back of a truck last week, which was a bit sad. Off it went to my local, my favorite mechanic. He sorted it out, needed a new battery, nothing serious. And he's had a little fiddle with the gearbox because that was a little bit awkward. But it's a security measure because only I know how to put it in reverse and first. If somebody broke in, they'd be stuck there.
Yeah, that's old school. That is. Yeah,
it's very good, isn't it? Very, very good. Yeah. And he quite liked the fact that I said that, and he's we were kind of on the same wavelength with that.
Yeah,
160 euros and another year's motoring. I can't believe it. But I do need to change my registered address for the vehicle, Milen. Have you ever tried to use the IMT website to change anything, Tony?
I have, but what I ended up doing, I mean, I actually went to the. So you have to change the address on the matricular card.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
See, I did that at the Conservatoria, and I apparently was, I can't remember exactly, but it was, you're supposed to do it within X days, and I was over those days by a bit, and it cost me over 100 euros.
I think I'm in that condition as well.
There was a fine as well, and when you get to the point where you just pay it, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's not worth the headache.
I think I'm in that condition. So yeah. And now I've completely exposed myself publicly, being in that condition as well, to add insult to injury. But if somebody knows how to do that easily, I'd be very grateful for that.
Well, I went to the Conservatoria.
Well, I thought I could do it. I think I was at one of these multiple offices that had an IRN, which is the same thing, isn't it?
You went to the Citizen shop.
Something like that, a smaller version of one with loads of files, and they seem to do everything in there. Waited a long time. They started the paperwork, and I think they did say to me, "Oh, it's 80 euros," and I didn't have that on me. I wasn't thinking. I don't think I could pay by card. And I didn't go back. I didn't go. I'm really putting myself into further public scrutiny and awkwardness now. But I didn't go back. So I think you're probably right. There's fines to pay. It's racking up and mounting up. But it's probably about 5,000 euros now.
Yeah, it's going to say it's probably at least $2,000 now, Carl. Yeah.
Thanks, Tony. Let's move on.
Because I've heard stories like that. Believe me, about people getting small fines for overnight camping in a camper van or something, and then 2 years later getting a bill for. Anyway.
And their fortune that they made in the .com back in the day is wiped out by the Portuguese government in a single.
Listen, how old is your car, by the way?
102 years old now, I think.
Yeah, because I made a video on my YouTube channel about this. I brought when I came to just a long
Portugal?
Story. Sticking just to the car bit. I got to London right in the thick of the first lockdown. And I was heading up north. We knew we were just in London for a week. Then we were heading up north to sort of ride out the COVID lockdown. And I bought a sight unseen Vauxhall Vectra C-Reg 2005 for £575. And I knew I was driving it up to Darlington. And I knew there was a very good chance it wouldn't make it. So I took out all risk insurance, because I figured, well, if it breaks down, they'll have to tow me and my family up north anyway.
Very good. I like the way you're thinking. Yeah.
The worst that can happen. And of course, there was no other way to get up north at that time except the trains, which was going to be like 600 quid anyway, right?
Each, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was crazy. And then as it goes, it's parked outside my house right now, with Portuguese plates on it.
Fantastic.
So
That is so
over 4 years I've had it. I put 40,000 miles on it, and
superb,
yeah,
superb. Yeah, there you go. And
lovely.
I think that makes us in some small way Portuguese, doesn't it? With that observance of the old vehicle. And some say it's the most environmentally friendly form of motoring to have an old car and look after it.
Well, I've heard people say this. I know someone in Portugal, and she's driving a hybrid now, and my point to her was, and I think I've said this on the channel before. I could be wrong. It could be that someone could prove me wrong, but I've asked the question: can someone show me how scrapping my car that works perfectly and replacing it with a whole new car can make environmental sense?
Yeah. I think you have to go through years of ideological indoctrination to come out with the right result on that. Like many things, it would seem at the moment, they can only make sense if you go through the necessary mental machinery to get to that result. Perhaps that's a little bit controversial. I thought last time you were on, when we were discussing our favorite conspiracy theories, was pushing it. I think I might have been unlisted, whatever it's called, black boxed or whatever since then. I don't know. But it was risky, but we went there, didn't we? I don't know if any more have occurred to you subsequently. It only seems to have got worse, Tony, right?
What's got worse? Conspiracy theories?
The whole conspiracy theory thing, yeah. I mean, it's very much in the open agenda now, so it's just become full-on mudslinging.
What was actually? I saw one the other day, and this is something, again, it's kind of, I almost feel like it's not my business because it's the Americans, But
I have that feeling. I have that feeling.
It was something that Joe Biden's got a son called Hunter Biden.
Yes.
Yeah? And anyway, the other day he was convicted. I mean, some say this is a convenient timing anyway to try and validate another conviction. But anyway, he was convicted of something. I think he was convicted of like owning a gun, which I thought was legal in him. But anyway, that's another question. But anyway, apparently he was convicted of owning a gun or something.
Yes.
And the evidence came from a laptop. Yes. And I'm old enough to remember when that laptop was a conspiracy theory made up by the Russians.
Yes, that's right. Old enough to remember, yeah. What, like
like it was a year ago or something, yeah. But I saw it and I thought, hey, why isn't anyone talking about that? Because that's an obvious example of the media lying, like in lockstep, right? In lockstep. Yes. So whatever you think of, Trump, left, right, Biden, whatever, that's a clear example of the media lying in lockstep, isn't it?
It is.
They said that laptop was a Russian hoax, I think.
Yeah, or infiltration, or a what do they call it? Interference. Absolutely.
But there it was, and it was in court, and it was the evidence to convict the guy. So
very interesting. But I think
he sounds like a troubled young man. I hope
he's not well, is he? Let's face it. Yeah. I mean, nor's the old man. I mean, I don't know what's going on there, but and you're right. I mean, I do hesitate to speak of it because it is none of our business. But then you think, the guy who can barely stand and seems to have had an accident constantly whenever in public, also we're told has access to some of the most lethal weaponry in the world as well. So it does make you wonder. But but anyway, okay, morning thoughts: sufficient sleep, exercise, healthy food, friendship, and peace of mind. There we go. That's what we might focus on. They're not necessities. They are necessities. They're not luxuries. From Mark Halperin.
Yeah, it's true.
With all of these people we've never heard of with quotes, we stand a chance of being quoted, don't we? I think in other live streams and shows. I don't know Mark Halperin. I'm not sure I've heard of Idawu.
I thought isn't Halperin like a
medication, isn't it?
An antipsychotic or something?
I think it is. Yeah. Have you seen my Halperin? Can somebody find my? Yeah. I think you're right. Have I had my medication today? Bon dia Milen Concordo from James to Milen from Insurance. And hooah!
Hooah!
Hey, do you like that movie? Does that ring any bells?
Hooah!
Which one's that?
No.
That's Scent of a Woman and Al Pacino's fine role in that. I'm in the mood for a manly movie, actually. I did watch a little bit of Russell Crowe in Gladiator. Watched a clip yesterday. Are you not entertained? I mean, I want to watch
brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah. Bon dia Gumpers from Jackie, one of your pals who's here this morning. And a Bon dia Gumpers, as I expected, I'm a little slow this morning. Still, I have a couple of hours on a train to wake up. What could possibly go wrong? You could fall asleep and miss your stop. Always great fun on a train. I've done it on a bus after the Notting Hill Carnival.
I've done it. I used to live. Listen, sorry to interrupt, but no one's going to beat this story.
This is what,
I'm sleeping on the train.
You're meant to do that. You are the co-host.
I used to live in High Wycombe, right, in England. Now that probably doesn't mean a lot to most people, but if you think like it's about a third of the way from London to Birmingham, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And this is in my drinking days, and I'd been out drinking in. This is probably one of the reasons why I don't drink anymore, by the way. But I'd been out drinking in London and had a real heavy night, and I got on the train, and I woke up in Birmingham, you know, and it's quite a trek. I mean, it's quite a thing. It must be 250 miles or something like that.
Yeah,
London to Birmingham, I'd have thought.
Oh yeah.
I thought, oh my god,
A good sleep, basically.
Got back on the train. Guess what? Woke up in London. Yeah. Yeah.
How long did it take to realise?
Oh my god! Yeah, it was terrible. It's terrible. Yeah, and then finally, I got back to Wycombe, and my girlfriend at the time was not impressed at all. She was not impressed. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have my deep sympathies. I mean, it does sound like somewhat exciting time of your life as well. Angry girlfriends, heavy drinking, and you referred to it as your drinking days. Very interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a little bit like the walking. Now, I'm kind of an all or nothing kind of guy, to be honest.
Well, yes. So why 20,000 steps a day? What you been up to? Why?
Well, the idea came because I'd seen it pop up a few times on YouTube.
Yeah,
and although that can be quite funny, I've watched a few YouTube videos about it, and sometimes they're quite funny. The guy, it'll be like, I did 20,000 steps a day for 30 days. Here's what happened. And I'm like, okay, let's see what happened. And then it comes on, and it's this suit, because you see the thumbnail of the super fit guy, and you think, yeah, I'm going to look like that after 30 days. And then he comes on, and he's going, right, guys, so those of you who follow my channel know that I already do 15,000 steps every day, and I've been doing that for 5 years. Yeah. And the hardest part about the 20,000 challenge is that it cuts into time I've got for my personal training clients, you know what I mean?
And editing videos, yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm thinking, it took me a while, but I finally found a few videos of some kind of fat old people who tried it. And yeah, it seems to work really well, and it's quite low impact because when you're like, I'm not like super obese or anything, but I'm 120 kilos, and I should probably be more like about 95, I reckon.
Okay.
So it's quite hard to do something like really high impact when you're overweight.
Yeah,
I think so. Walking is quite low impact, and also I quite like walking anyway. So I thought it'd be a good challenge, and
How long does it take? How long does it take to get 20,000 clicks in?
Well, you know, it's one of those where there's a lot of variables. But let's say for me, I walk at about 3.5 mile per hour, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, and you know, it depends on your steps. But for me, it takes about 3 hours, give or take, about 3 hours.
Good heavens. So you're out walking 3 hours a day?
Yeah, it's hard. You know what I mean? It's the time, you notice the time. But what I do is I get up at 5.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I try to get say 15,000 at least done. Sometimes I do the whole 20. I try to get at least 15,000 done before I get home, and then I can knock the others off at various times. And also I try to do the 20,000 on top of my incidental steps.
Right.
So like most days I'm doing like 25,000, let's say. Yeah. And
that's amazing. Well done. Seriously, well done.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant thing. And what effect is it having?
To be honest with you, I've been doing it solidly for just over 2 weeks, and probably just the other day was the first day I got up and thought I could feel I'm a bit lighter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, haven't really lost much weight or anything like that. maybe a couple of kilos.
It's not too bad. It's a good start.
Yeah,
Good start.
it's not too bad, and but yeah, definitely feeling better. Definitely feeling better. I wouldn't say, like, to anyone who's interested in trying it, I wouldn't say that it's like anything. There's no easy. You guys know this by now. I don't think, I think everyone that we're speaking to is
Long enough in the tooth.
we're long enough in the tooth that we know there's no easy way, right? There's no easy money. There's no easy way to lose weight. There's no easy route to fitness, right? You got to put the work in.
And if you could put all of those together in one regime, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So I think
lose weight and get rich. Yes.
And I suppose it was something you remember I spoke about on the channel at New Year's Eve, wasn't it? It was kind of my New Year's resolution that it didn't happen.
Yes.
And that was really due to two things. One was that 300 Days of Sunshine decided not to appear until June.
You're still upset about that, aren't you?
I'm never going to let it go. Never going to let it go.
You're not, are you?
But so it was cold and wet, and I was going to buy a treadmill, and then what happened was, listen, guys, I think everyone who's come to Portugal, especially anyone who's come and started doing a bit of farming or whatever, you suddenly notice that every new thing has a whole, how to explain it? A treadmill should be a simple thing, right? A treadmill.
Yeah.
So I go to Decathlon. And the price ranges from, I don't know, 250 euro to €2,000. I'm like, I can't believe it. How can there be such a price range? So I asked the woman. She says, right, this one, there's no engine. This one has an engine, but it only does this. This one has an engine and an incline, but the incline's manual. This one, do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh,
yes.
It's like a whole new.
I noticed that. You're right. Coffee machines are the same, aren't they?
Everything is like this. Everything.
Yes. And you're not making a Portuguese observation. You're making an observation about consumerism, are you not?
Yeah. And then the other thing I found out was that up until about the 600 euro mark, go on, Jackie. Yeah. Well, that's my incidental steps are like that. Yeah. Up until about the 500 or 600 euro mark, you can't. They're not rated for people who weigh over 100 kilograms.
Seriously,
I'm like, that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? But so yeah, I realized
the very people who you would think should be encouraged onto such devices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and also it's the right kind of exercise, in my opinion, for people who are like, especially if you're like really, really, like if you're 150, 160, 170 kilos, if you're really, really overweight, then walking on a treadmill is probably the best.
Getting to the treadmill and then walking on it is
yeah. But you know what I mean? Asking someone like that to do aerobics or something. When I say like that, please forgive me. I've got a lot of empathy for people.
Yeah, come on, we're all in this together. No one's having a go at anybody here. We're all in this together, aren't we? Yeah.
So that I thought, well, I can't really afford. It's just after Christmas as well. You know what I mean? I thought I can't really afford to drop $1,000 on a treadmill, so I'll just wait till the sun comes out, which according to Carl should be the 1st of March.
All right, okay.
But
Tony, don't go there. Don't go there.
But you know what happened the other day is a subscriber gave me a treadmill.
That's great.
Yeah, he knows me watching the videos and thought, I gotta sort this fat bastard out.
Is it a sponsorship? Is it an influencing sponsorship thing, or are they sick of having it just to put their clothes on?
Well, he did say he's had it at his house for many years, and I mean, we're all guilty. I remember years ago I bought an exercise bike that became somewhere to hang clothes. I mean, everyone's done it. But yeah,
so it's an old one, because you do get to see some quite old equipment here in Portugal, don't you? And still holding its price. So it might be a wind-up one, or you need someone else to crank it while you're walking on it, or something.
It's a really good one. It's obviously old, but I mean, it hasn't been used. You can see it's really not being used, and it's a really good one. It has all the it's in miles as well, which I like, and
farthings.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. You can do like when you're walking. If you feel a bit energetic, you can press a button and it starts making you like.
Oh, it's got some of that going on. Has it got a cup holder?
It's got a cup holder.
Yeah.
And
good. It's digital, is it, or is it like an abacus?
It's digital. It's digital. One of the first early digital. Yeah.
LED or LCD? Anyway, you'd have to answer that. And
No, it is LED. Yeah, it's
I
not
bet the
LCD.
bloke is like delighted as well, because that's the great thing with technology, isn't it? If you buy something and don't use it, like a trouser press, which is also used for hanging clothes on, or a treadmill or something like that, and you don't use it yourself, second best thing is to do someone else a good turn with it.
Isn't it? And I said to him the same thing. I said, look, if I don't think it will happen because I'm quite committed to it, but I said I'm the same. If in 6 months I'm not using it, I'll pay it forward as well. That's
in fact, that thing might have had 37 owners already around Portugal.
It might have, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, well, no doubt a video will be filmed from the treadmill by the Portugeeza. So watch out, check it out. That's coming soon. Right, this is a bit worrying. There was no sound at James's end for a little while, but it was a local problem. And do you know what? This is another. You could say this is another mindful moment or a quotable quote. Problem was at my end, James, on the 13th of June. So many problems are like that in life, aren't they? Problem was at my end. I thought it was the world. I thought it was other
Carl,
people.
you know what we're supposed to say, right? We're supposed to say it was all right leaving me. As a broadcaster, you must have heard people say that many times,
that.
Right?
I will be using it. It was okay leaving me.
It was okay leaving me. So
that's marital. That's relationship advice, isn't it? It was okay leaving me. I can't help what you made it mean. Right. God Squad tip of the day. Then, whilst we're talking about 20,000 steps, then somebody here who we'll get to in just a moment has done 40,000 recently. Today's exercise is known as the Romanian deadlift, which sounds like, because we've heard this morning that the term conspiracy theory was made up by the CIA. It sounds like the Romanian deadlift is a CIA move as well, doesn't it? Well, you get trained at CIA school to do one of these. It's designed to strengthen and, in the Cold War, this is, and is designed to strengthen and stretch the hamstring. So it's not a CIA thing by the sound of it. Stand with your feet slightly apart, spread them, and legs a little bent. Start to reach down towards your toes with a straight back. And, I see, it's like a squat, isn't it? As far as you're able, then slowly rise back up. As you become stronger, you can add weight. 3 sets of 10 is a good number. A bit like fartlek, which I think could make you and me giggle if we say it quite a few times. These Eastern European methods are kind of tough guy exercises, aren't they? So there you go. There's the Romanian deadlift. Maybe it comes from a culture, where it's more about the sort of physical fitness without using loads of gear, apart from sticks and medicine balls and each other, perhaps. But thank you for that this morning.
Sparring with bears and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And then a few vodkas afterwards just to complete the stereotype. Bon dia todos. Bon dia todos to you, Joan. Lovely to see you here again this morning. And Lee McGrady. Good morning, people. I've been asking the co-host, and I'll be asking you as well, Tony, to send me a new photo and a quote, because I'm going to redo the opening sequence. Lee McGrady's quote for the opening sequence is, "Get off that lawn." He's the head gardener, of course. João Ernesto de Norte, Bon dia alegria, Portugal, from him, and a Bon dia todos from Antonio F as well. I don't believe, here we go, going back to your earlier Zen Buddhist observations, because that's what a good Buddhist would be observing, wouldn't they, rather than judging, I suspect. I don't believe destroying ego is the goal with the ego. It's more being aware of it. So there you go. That's mindfulness again, isn't it? And Paul, good morning to you, Paul. Paulo Ricardos is here, up the Algarve. Up. The Algarve is open, rising to 27 degrees today. Not a cloud in the sky. Come on down. Everybody's happy in the Algarve. How lovely. I'll soon be getting cataract surgery on the 25th of June. I'm both apprehensive and excited too. João Ernesto, which did you go for? Did you go for the full bionic man, where if you blink, it zooms in and that sort of stuff? And is it app driven as well? Do you know, he told me this, Tony, there's technology now. If you blink a couple of times, the cataract replacement lens can zoom in.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's not making you think. I can see you're going to various parts of your mind with the thought.
I'm thinking about. I have to say, I'm very much I'm very much, when the apocalypse comes, I'm going to be outside the city in the
you already are.
But you know what I mean. I don't want any of this embedded tech. You know what I mean? I don't like it.
What's that got to do with the apocalypse, though? You think that all this technology is driving us towards that moment?
Well, no, I think there's this is my view on things, right, guys? Listen, I think
we're going to go dark now. Okay,
I think it's a big possibility within the next 10 years that people are going to have to make a hard choice as to whether they want to live in the cities with all the tech and the censorship and AI and all that sort of stuff, or live in the countryside and back to nature. But there's a price to pay whichever way you go, you know.
As ever. So it's like Brave New World, the kind of technologically driven evolution of human beings on the one hand. You think it's going to be quite binary and polar, and it's going to go one way or the other?
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah.
How very dystopian of you.
Yeah. I don't want any of this tech. Maybe if I needed cataract surgery, but change my mind. I don't know.
Do you have a pocket calculator?
I would. Yeah, I do. Actually.
I'm being glib because I think there's tech and there's tech, isn't it? And we do get used to these things because I'm sure there was a similar person to you back in the 1970s when they had to give up their log tables and slide rule for a pocket calculator. They were saying, "This is the mark my words. This is the end. This is this newfangled thing," and it was probably this big at the time, wasn't it? Massive batteries in it.
Yeah,
this is the devil's work. Adding up like this is just going to bring us to rack and they. In a way, they were right, I suppose, because
Well, I think the thing is, it's like I was speaking to someone a few weeks ago. We were talking about kids playing computer games and comparing that to TV. You know, back in our day, like parents would maybe say, like, I don't know how it was for you, but I would get kicked out of the house. Basically, I wasn't allowed to just sit and watch too much TV. Like, go out and play. You know.
Yeah.
But like I where I would agree is maybe the slippery slope. But what I don't think is that they're comparable. I don't think, for example, kids' addiction to screens now is comparable to any addiction to screens when we were kids. So I don't think, because I think it's much more addictive. I think it's much more interactive, and I think it's much worse. I do think it's much worse. I don't think it's comparable. I think I get what you're saying, and I do get what people say when they go, it's just the same as when we.
Yes, the Luddite argument, isn't it? I would agree with you completely. My kids do a lot of screen time. I would say it's better and it's worse. I mean, it's so much. What they can do is so much better than what I had. You know, if I was watching a lot of TV, which I did, I was sat there consuming it. They are interactive. They have a better experience of their screen time, but I also see how much worse it is as well. I think it's both, isn't it? Interestingly, as usual, often it's often both. The answer is often both, isn't it? We are discovering. Pain is the highest compliment. We groaned visibly, blanched, winced at the dad joke this morning, and it's the highest compliment for a dad joke. So you're very welcome there. The right response. And okay, I'll try my local driving school, and they can tell me that I owe 67,000 euros, including fines for that transgression. Thank you very much for that, James. Bon dia todos from the Squire. Won't be laughing if that's the truth, by the way. Bon dia alegria gumpus from T-Duck. Good morning to you, T-Duck. And look, the conspiracy theory was that the laptop helped information to prove Joe Biden committed crimes, and that was false. Okay, so there you go. Or will just be proven true in a year's time, which is often the way with these things. Thank you, Marcus PD Country Bear, for that. And a not so serious deep thought. Why do we often think, Tony, that a key is only for opening things up? Isn't the other half of their purpose to shut and lock things up? Well, I guess it is. It's again both, isn't it? The answer is both. And we tend to focus on the bit that suits us, which is, yes, when we're giving each other keys. Like, do you remember, were you given a key when you were 21?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
A silver one on top of a cake.
A friend of mine actually made one for me.
A key to the world.
Made a I must have it somewhere. I hope I still have it somewhere, actually, because he made it out of it was a really nice thing. And he made it out of some nice, I think it was Tasmanian oak or something he made it out of.
Cool.
But yeah, it was supposed to be like a key to life, isn't it?
Yeah, rather than a metaphor for everything. As he was giving it to you, presumably the metaphorical significance was here you are, Anthony, on this special occasion. I give you a key to open up opportunity and good fortune. Not like, here's a key. Everything you're going to find out now that everything is shutting down now. Now you're 21. Here's your key to prove it.
Yeah.
God, I
mean, in those, I feel like 21 was when you became an adult.
It was a very good year.
Yeah, 21.
When we used to have rites of passage, at least you got given a key or something. At least we've lost all of these things, haven't we? Presumably you didn't get hung by your nipples in the forest for 7 days in the way that our forefathers would have done to help you with the transition from boy to man.
No, I managed to miss.
You'd have remembered, Tony. You would have remembered.
I think I'd have remembered that. Yeah. To be fair, I hadn't thought about the key for many, many years. Yeah.
Right. But the symbolism is beautiful, isn't it? It was a rite of passage, and it was the running down of these important, significant milestones in life. It just became a symbol rather than you being taken out, not taken out in the CIA way, but you being taken out somewhere into the wilds. Make your own way home, and you can prove
the Romanian deadlift.
Exactly. We're going to instruct you in the ways of the Romanian deadlift now, right? Gotta love a good Russian conspiracy theory. Makes Mr. Putin look even more sexy with his top off on a horse. He's what? Jackie? I don't know if she should have said that publicly. Do you?
Jackie, you think that's bad? My guilty pleasure is Priti Patel, and nobody can understand me when I say that.
I'm going to say Kamala for a minute as well.
No, I don't know what it is about Priti Patel. But
you find her physically attractive. I think it's fairly straightforward.
Yeah, I think she's a very, very attractive woman. But yeah.
And do you take it a step further and imagine that she's saying harsh things to you in a state of undress?
Definitely. It's very strong.
You didn't have to own up to that.
She's a very strong woman, Priti Patel.
All right, now I'm very aware that
How many people are viewing this at the moment? How many people do we have?
Right, don't worry, not many.
We have to hunt down for the Romanian deadlift.
Right, I'm aware. We still got half as many listeners as a lot of British news channels, I've got to say, who spent millions setting up their studios only to have just a few more listeners and viewers than we've got, which is extraordinary, really. But there you go. Those are the times we live in. And I'm aware as well, this is the Good Morning Portugal show. We haven't talked much about Portugal. So let's see if we can bring it back on track here this morning. Maybe, maybe not. I do want to see if you can... Did you have any luck with that, Tony? I don't know if you can see it.
I couldn't see it. Show us again.
Well, it's your namesake. I'll read it because you probably won't be able to see it on the screen. No offense to your eyesight, but that's little scripty writing. Can you see that?
No.
Okay, let me read it then. Sant'Antonio.
I need my
you need the double click cataract.
the double click cataract bifocals.
And they make the little sound. They make the Bionic Man sound. Talking of TV that we used to watch, we go and it goes. Boop, 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 boop.
Oh, the $6 million man.
$6 million.
Barely buy him a wooden leg nowadays, would it?
And you could get X-ray version as well for looking at Priti Patel. Yes,
Priti Patel. God, she'd give me a good telling off if I did that.
You really would, and you would love it. You would so like that.
She would give me a good telling off.
And she would call you Anthony, wouldn't she?
She would call me Anthony. My God.
Stop it. Sant'Antonio, there are people looking at Priti Patel now and probably agreeing with you. Sant'Antonio Padroeiro, de quem em ti acredita, das tudo menos dinheiro, and you know what that means. Anostezo em sanguita. Okay, so there we go. I've got me lucky Manjerico Basil. And the translation that we had that came up with Google Translate is Saint Anthony, patron saint of those who believe in you. You give everything but money. What kind of saint is that? I mean, and that's okay, fair enough, because he's a saint, and it might be.
I like the look. You're not like the saint of travelers, you're just the saint of anyone who believes in you. If you
that's honest. That's honest, like isn't it? That's an honest.
He's willing to take anyone. Just believe it. Actually. To be fair, the big guy also says that. So I mean, he's walking in.
Yes,
What
he's
do
in
you
good
call it?
company. In good
He's in
company.
good company, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Saint Anthony Patron, saint of those who believe in you. Give everything but money. You're
Yes.
stiff
And without twine.
and without ties.
No, I'm not sure what that means. We'll come back to that. But would you, if Priti Patel called us now and said, Anthony, you're stiff and without twine? I mean, what would you make?
I would ask her. Well, if she brings the twine,
All right, another not so serious dad thought. Next time you have half a chicken for dinner, consider you are covertly sharing a meal with someone else who is enjoying. That's so true, isn't it? And it could be like those padlocks on bridges. Someone else somewhere in the world is enjoying the other half of that chicken, which makes you a kind of soulmate, doesn't it?
Hey, I tell you what made me laugh. I mean, God, where are we going? But I saw a meme the other day where someone, I think he was in, I can't remember, he was in somewhere in Europe, and he got in contact with someone in New Zealand over the internet, and they took a photo of themselves, one with holding a slice of bread on the ground in Europe, the other one holding a slice of bread on the ground in New Zealand, and they'd made an earth sandwich.
Oh, how beautiful together!
Yeah, I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things that these young people are doing with the technology. There you go. That balances up. That really balances things for me this morning to hear that. Thank you. 40,000 steps across the Serra d'Arga. One day last week, special occasion. They usually do 10 to 12,000 a day. Great effort, Bob. Good to see you.
Yeah, I just want to say as well, if anyone guys, honestly, I'm a bit of a machine, right? Like, 20,000 is really quite extreme. I would say that for most people, 12,000 honestly is
sufficient, right?
Is really sufficient. If you want to try it, just you don't have to.
Yeah,
like 20,000 is.
It could put people off. It could people off, didn't it? That's right, and that's why it goes. Build up. This is what we say with the God Squad tips of the day. Which, incidentally, for people, I keep saying God Squad tips of the day, not explaining it. Growing old disgracefully. It's not a Christian fitness group. Not that there would be anything wrong with that, but it actually stands for growing old disgracefully. Not serious, deep thought, or maybe not. You were not taught as a child to get in a stranger's car or meet with a stranger from the internet. Yet we literally summon strangers from the internet and get in their car. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't suppose you've got Uber over your way, though, have you? That's part of the training for the apocalypse that you mentioned. You're not going to be able to call a cab, are you, when that happens?
No. And that's what I mean. I think that if and when the apocalypse, whether it's a zombie apocalypse or monkey flu or aliens or whatever next,
you thought of all of these.
Yeah. But I think that over time, and I mean, like, I'm an 80s kid. I've watched all the movies. I know how it goes down. Is the tech gradually becomes, it starts. It's like, in what is it? In Cuba, where they all drive around in big 1950s American Yank tanks, don't they?
If we can believe
what they were left with,
propaganda,
they were left with,
yes.
So that's what I think it will be like, and I'm ready. My veterans.
Oh, nice. So you'll be living in a kind of Cuban. Why don't you re-record Cuban Paradise as a rap tune? And you could film it. I mean, if you just go out and film in the street, people are driving old cars around where you live, right? So you pretty much get to see the future.
Do you know? It's funny. I made a video about it in my little village, Travanca de Lagos. They actually had a vintage car rally, and when I was making the video, it was quite funny because I was saying, "Look at this old Peugeot," and then I'm like, I got closer, and there's a wheelbarrow in the back. You know what I mean? I'm like, this isn't part of this is. This is just my neighbour's car, 35-year-old.
Why don't you, for a joke? Hey, how about this? Why don't you go to any car park in central Portugal and put up a banner saying "car rally"?
Yeah. You could
car rally. You could, and you get away with it. And people would start. Tourists would walk up, wouldn't they? And say, "Oh, this is amazing." I had one of these when I was 3. My granddad taught me how to drive it on his knee. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. That was a little bit Portuguese. Well done. What effects? Now, I didn't mean this, Tony, when I said what effects is it having, your new fitness regime. Nothing obvious. I did not say that. How rude, Mr. S. Your neighbour is here. Barak Zabo is here. Hola, bon dia from Lord Travanca, up the hill from you, by the sound of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Bon dia. Yeah, definitely. And he does nearly 28K a day at the Quinta.
Yeah.
I ran out of closet space, so I got a treadmill. If you need more hanging space, when Tony's finished with the treadmill, I'll probably send it to you. Suze is here at some ungodly hour in Nova Scotia or Newfoundland. I can't remember which one it is, Suze. Please help me with that. Great to see you here this morning, and belated birthday wishes to you. That treadmill, make it more exercise than the humans with all that forward paying.
Yeah, I suspect that happens a lot. It's a little bit like what is it? Clothes for newborn babies, isn't it? Did you get into that where you got given bags of
and you give them to someone else a little bit later?
They've still got labels on years later, haven't they?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Good morning, both. Talking of conspiracy theories, Doug is here this morning. He and I have a good old ding dong on Facebook every now and then about such matters as well. I've got we've got some lovely film of festas because that's really important at the moment. Has your town village festa happened yet, or is that a pleasure to come for you?
It's still coming. Yeah. Funnily enough, ours is ours called. I was going to say ours might be called San Antonio, but I think that's wrong. I think it's called.
I would have thought you'd have remembered that. Your
name. Yeah. I think it's San Pedro. San Pedro, actually.
Oh, okay. So maybe not. Saint Anthony. He's not only the patron saint of people who believe in him. He's also the patron saint of small children and lost things. So if you do pray to the saints on occasion,
I've been a small child and a lost thing.
Right, so he is. I mean, you are aptly named in that case.
Yeah,
I would say. Okay, and so if you do get calls where people are saying, "Where are my car keys?" that is what is going on with that. Use the coach's warm-up stretches before starting. It prevents strains and sprains. And another one, Joao Aresto's on fire this morning with these. If we could travel to the past, we would worry about accidentally changing.
I like this one. Isn't it funny? There's so many. It's true. There's so many. When I was a kid, I really liked sci-fi.
Would you mind reading it?
I read a few.
Read this out for us. Go on. Share this with us.
This one, if we could travel to the past, we would worry about accidentally changing the present, right? So technically, every choice or decision we make in the present is literally changing the future. So if you've heard this story about, for example, you could time travel back.
Yeah.
And obviously, the further back you travel, the more of an impact a small change makes. But yeah, the idea is, well, that's happening now. Any small thing you do now is having a
of course.
What do you call it? Exponential? I don't know if I'm using the word. I never know whether I'm using the word exponential.
Consequential, really. I would say. I mean, we are. There's that for me. I said, no, you're leaning against an open door with that idea. I mean, we are. Everything we do is affecting what's coming next. No, Terminator was built on that premise, wasn't it?
Same as that other one with the. It's similar to that first step. This is something I'm really trying. It sounds so cheesy to say every journey starts with the first step.
It's undeniable, though.
It's something that you really have to, I think, teach children, especially because you know how, guys, as you get older, everyone notices this, right? Like a year is suddenly a very short period of time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I keep saying, like, for example, to my I'm quite lucky in a way because my oldest son seems to have kind of got it together, and he's on the track to go to university and all the stuff that he wants to do. Do you know what I mean? He's got it together there. But my younger son is still like, man, I don't want to do that. It's too hard, takes too long, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And just saying to him, I keep warning him as well, that time when you got to leave school is coming really, really soon. And you have to have a plan, because you have to have what I always say to kids generally in my teaching as well is these days you have to have something a bit different. You have to have that unique selling point, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're competing with all these other people, and so you got to have something a bit different. So what I keep hanging over my son's head is near his school there's a factory called Dressing World, which is like a garment factory. And so I always joke to him, I say, you're going
to end up in there.
You'll be going across the street to Dressing World. It's kind of a joke, right?
That's so old-fashioned. That's so Victorian.
I am old-fashioned because I think it's scary. I think you got to have something different. You can't. It's not good enough to just leave school now.
Well, he'll tell that story when he is an AI expert. He'll tell a story of how you
an AI expert at Dressing World.
Yeah, well, it's going to be everywhere, Tony. Don't laugh. And he'll say, my dad used to try and frighten me by saying I'd get a job here. And now
Yeah.
look
Look
at
at
me.
me. He
He's
can't
driving
even
around.
he
Yeah.
can't even operate a sewing machine.
He thinks the treadmill's a sewing machine. He went downhill. He went downhill fast. Okay. Yorkshire observation. Buying a treadmill is like buying a bag of air. We should do this in a Yorkshire accent, should we not? And with the Hovis music in the background. So could you do the Hovis music for me while I do this?
Oh God, Paul Richards lives in that part of Portugal where the sun shines, doesn't he?
Oh, don't get bitter. Come on. He can't help that, can he? He's just a good life choice. We can't begrudge a man that, can we?
Yeah, no.
In the back of in his head, though, the Hovis music is playing all the time. Think of that.
I swear to God, people in the Algarve would be like swimming down the road, that's completely flooded with their car upside down up a tree or something, telling me that it's sunny.
Yeah,
I lived in the Algarve when I first came here.
All right,
it wasn't sunny all year.
Certain subjects that we should not talk about. That's one of them, I think. Okay, so Yorkshire observation. You'll have to imagine the is it? I don't know what the Hovis music is. Is it the New World Suite?
Oh yeah. The bread. I think
that's right. Exactly.
The bread,
the Yorkshire observation. Hey, buying a treadmill is like buying a bag of air. Both are free. Walking and breathing. Why pay? Mind you, I do live in a part of Portugal where the sun shines.
Oh my God. This guy's killing me.
He's killing me, man. Right. Life is a trade-off experience. Oh.
Hey, is that a thing with bread to do some kind of British? Because I remember in England we don't have tip-top bread, do we? In England,
no, we don't.
But in Australia, they have a brand called Tip Top.
Yeah,
and they did that. You know that tune?
Yes, yes. Classical music and bread, yes, together.
Good on your mum. Tip Top's the one.
I'm surprised you're not playing it on the ukulele. Look, Tony, it's 3 minutes to 10. I cannot believe it. I've had so much fun. I hope other people have too. And there was put a bit of a spring in our step, and we've got to race through the rest of the comments because I don't want to ignore them. And we've got other memes and everything as well. Philomena's been in Lisbon at the Santos Populares. Let's have a listen to this, and we'll do a little bit more, and then we'll go into our days. Thanks for being here, everybody. Wow, that was exciting, wasn't it? You could take some inspiration for your local village festa on that. Thank you, Philomena. That's how they roll in Lisbon with the Santos Populares. That's amazing, isn't it? Okay, Tony, we've got to get through these last few comments. We've had so much fun chatting this morning. We're a little bit behind with our work. Like the man who sat on the bacon slicer. Oh, yes, you've got your Fitbit there. You'll break that with all the steps you're doing. The WEF have already named those living outside 15-minute cities as the discontented.
Yeah, Jackie, this is the thing. This is the document. Yeah. That's me. I am one of the discontented, left behind in the Victorian village
with your stovepipe hat, pointing
with
at the factory.
With my Fitbit, resisting
exactly.
Technology.
Yeah, with your old school technology there. I'm watching Terrible Behavior. I think that's a fair review of this morning's show. I'm off techie stuff. I sent my kettle back. That's his simultaneous translation.
You sent your kettle back and got a Chinese pilot.
No, that's what came up. You know, there was the old joke, wasn't there? I think on how you could hear taxi drivers on your microwave. He got a Chinese fella asking for land instructions on translation.
Yeah.
That's a true story. That's not a joke by
Yeah.
the sound of it. Mr. Putin just rang and said Priti Patel is up for a double date, Tony.
God. Let's do it.
Imported boy ordered, that'll make the Society magazines. Ordered Marmite on Amazon, I think. Going to bring a few jars and some cheddar.
Listen, is it just me? Is it just me with Priti Patel? Come on.
I find Penny Mordaunt quite attractive. If we're putting not her. I'm not even going to say anymore. I'm just going to leave it there. It's 10 o'clock. We've got to go. Sorry if I've been quiet on GMP, says Doug. I've had my hands full here in the Algarve.
Bragging.
Oh, matron.
Bragging.
With umbrellas, maybe. I don't know. Thank you. Thanks, Carl. Your programs are part of the transformation and transition from mainstream artificial scripted programming towards unbiased, entertaining, independent broadcast journalism. Well, I appreciate that. I think, I would extend you in that circle around you, Tony. We do our best, don't we? I'm not sure if we're unbiased. I've definitely got a lot of judgments and biases, but that's not to say we don't include other people and other views within the community that we have here. So thank you for that, Squire. Thanks for noticing that. Really appreciate it. And the winner, the Santos Populares, was Alcantara in Lisbon there. Gemini's in as well. And thank you, Portugeeza as well. And Amazon for Marmite. Never thought about that. That's a good call. We didn't even get to talk about that because that was your picture on the tile this morning, wasn't it? You and your Marmite. You are a fan, as well as being a Marmite kind of guy.
You can get it a little bit cheaper at Ocean in it depends where you live, because I'm an hour away from Viseu or Coimbra. Yeah. So going to Ocean and either of them is going to cost me quite a bit in time, and
all for a jar of Marmite.
Yeah, well, you know what happens.
Yeah, walk there. That's
Ocean's a bit like IKEA, you know what I mean? You go to buy a bed and then you walk out with 500 quid's worth of knickknacks, don't you?
And a yoga mat. Yeah, I'm with you. I understand. Yeah.
So it's like that at Ocean, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you have it sent by Amazon, that's not going to happen, is it? Although you get on the Amazon site and see something, someone who bought this also bought this. Somebody bought Marmite also bought the Priti Patel calendar. You just get.
I tell you what, I doubt there is a Priti Patel calendar, although there should. But anyway,
why don't you make one, Tony?
Come on. If there was one, I promise you, within about an hour, it'll be showing up on my Amazon feed because they're listening. They're listening.
I would be very surprised if you don't get offered a Priti Patel calendar as well as a treadmill.
Priti Patel, no.
Put her on the end of the treadmill and you can run towards her and you'll get really fit.
Wow.
Right. A couple of things then from James. Mindfulness. If I take that comment off there, and you don't want the show to end. No, me neither, Jackie. I love talking to Tony here. Mindfulness or completely zoned out. Same stuff. There you go. Oh, same. Very good. Thanks, James. Another definition there of the mindfulness. And Star Trek Jellicoe. I don't know what this is about. I've been struggling to understand these memes in the last few days. I've written a new book. It's called How to Survive Falling Down a Staircase. I get this one. It's a step-by-step guide. Oh, come on, Tony.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you know that I used to date twins when I was younger?
Did you really?
Yeah. And a lot of people ask me how I could tell them apart.
Yeah.
And what it was quite easy because Jessica, she always painted her nails red.
Yeah.
And Mike had a really big, hairy beard.
And that's the last time I'm going chainsawing with my half brother. And thank you. I won't disclose my source here. But look, benefits of being a Star Trek fan. Because Heather said to me, "You're so ungeeky." She said to me yesterday because I didn't understand the meme. Well, there you go. I think that says everything. Benefits of being a Star Trek fan. And that's why each other, money, girls, and fame. Tony, you utter legend. Had a lot of fun this morning. We talked a little bit about Portugal, didn't we? Much more Portugal tonight and tomorrow. Portuguese language and culture with Philomena on the Expats Portugal webinar. Really looking forward to that. Celebrations across Portugal, what to expect, and key vocabulary. We'll have a great fun session with her tomorrow night and tomorrow morning. It's a Philomena Friday tomorrow, and we'll be singing again. So do join us for that. Last word to you. Can you top the twins dad joke this morning?
If you're asking me, I can't top that one.
Okay, whose wig is that, Tony? You can answer that though, can't you?
His wig? Oh yeah. Where is it?
It's
Yeah,
more
I
of
mean,
a-
well, this
a
is
scout.
mine.
Is
This
it
is a scout, yeah. This is one of my anyway, watch my YouTube channel and you'll see.
It's a Terry Wogan, maybe a Terry Wogan keepsake. I don't know if that's unless that's another name you use, Terry. I think we're all biased in one way or another. I think the danger is in thinking otherwise and insisting that others should share your unbiased opinion.
It's true. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good to know that you're biased, right? Isn't it? That's
And there you go. James is saying unbiased human is an oxymoron. Yes. Well, good luck telling someone they're an oxymoron later today if you need to do that. And look, these are still.
Go on, Douglas. Go on.
Well, sweet dreams, gents. And Jackie as well. Bareback on a horse with Vladimir. Have a great day, and we'll see you for some Feel Good Friday fun tomorrow. Take care, and bye for now. Ciao, ciao, cheers.
Ciao, ciao.
Bom dia, Portugal! In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another